What if everything you believed about love, beauty, and women was never real, but a story built to keep you chasing? In today's world, where attention is the new currency, men live in quiet confusion. They scroll, they like, they compare, and somewhere in the endless display of perfection, they begin to believe that fulfillment looks like approval. The modern man does not chase love anymore. He chases the feeling of being enough. Every post, every glance, every reply becomes a test of worth. Schopenhauer once said that love is nature's trick, a disguise for reproduction. But in our age, that trick has evolved. It is no longer about creation, but validation. The image of the ideal woman has turned into a digital phantom, shaping desire, shaping identity, shaping what men think happiness should look like. The cruelest truth is not that women deceive men, but that men deceive themselves. They mistake beauty for peace and attraction for meaning. They want affection to silence the emptiness that no achievement, no status, no body can cure. Social media made this illusion stronger, turning fantasy into routine. You can now worship what you will never have and ignore what is real. You can convince yourself that you are choosing love when you are only chasing relief. This is not romance anymore. It is addiction dressed as devotion. Every man who seeks validation from the female gaze is trading his power for a temporary sense of relevance. The tragedy is not that women hold power, but that men give it away. Schopenhauer saw this weakness long before Instagram existed. He understood that the true prison is not the woman you desire, but the part of you that cannot exist without her attention. Every man begins by believing he has found something rare. He looks at a woman and thinks she is different from the rest. He does not see her as she is, but as he needs her to be. The illusion begins quietly. It hides in the way he interprets her silence, her kindness, her attention. He turns gestures into meaning and mystery into depth. This happens every day, in every setting. It happens at work, when a simple smile feels like connection. It happens online, when a photo becomes a fantasy. The modern man is not in love with women. He is in love with the idea of being chosen by one. What he truly wants is not partnership, but validation. The sense that someone finally sees him as enough. The problem is that idealization always collapses, and when it does, disappointment turns into blame. He thinks she changed, when in truth, it was his projection that shattered. In today's world, where everything is filtered and edited, the illusion grows stronger. Men are surrounded by curated images that promise perfection but deliver nothing real. They chase a woman who does not exist outside the screen, then wonder why reality feels empty. This is not a failure of love, but of perception. Idealization blinds men to the truth that affection is not worship, and connection is not rescue. The woman he imagined was never a person. She was a reflection of his unmet need. Modern culture fuels this dream with movies, advice, and endless talk about finding the one, but no one admits how dangerous that fantasy is. The moment a man stops seeking perfection and starts seeing humanity, the illusion dies and real understanding begins. Until then, he will keep mistaking his own longing for love. Every man believes his choices are his own, but most of what he calls attraction is not choice at all. It is instinct dressed as preference. The pull he feels toward beauty, youth, or softness is not about love or character. It is nature moving through him, using his desires as tools. In today's world, this instinct hides behind logic. Men tell themselves they have a type, that they are drawn to confidence or charm, but underneath every explanation is the same biological script. It is the same reason gym culture thrives, why men chase money, status, and validation. It is not always ambition. It is competition, written into the body, an unspoken need to prove worth in the eyes of women. This truth is uncomfortable because it strips romance of its poetry and exposes the machinery behind affection. Modern life makes this game more visible, but no less real. Dating apps turn instinct into data. Beauty becomes a statistic measured by likes and swipes. Attraction turns mechanical, yet men still believe it is personal. They say they want love, but what they seek first is advantage. Every choice, from what they wear to how they speak, is a quiet performance shaped by the same primal agenda. Even women play this script in reverse, using appearance, attention, and emotional awareness as tools of selection. The dance continues not because people are shallow, but because nature never stopped writing the rules. Men call it chemistry, women call it connection, but it is often just biology fulfilling itself. The cruel truth is that most of what we call romance is nature ensuring survival through illusion. It gives us desire so powerful that we forget it was never about happiness, only continuation. Power today rarely looks like power. It no longer needs loud words or visible strength. It hides behind warmth, empathy, and care. In modern relationships, many men underestimate how influence often comes wrapped in softness. A gentle tone, a thoughtful look, or a quiet withdrawal can shape behavior more effectively than any demand. This is not manipulation in the obvious sense. It is strategy learned through experience. In a world where open confrontation is punished and emotional intelligence is praised, control has become quiet. Women are often more fluent in this silence. They learn early that appearing harmless disarms resistance. They understand that persuasion works better when it feels like choice. This is how influence grows without force. The man believes he leads, but he is often responding to subtle cues he cannot name. You can see this everywhere. In relationships where men change their opinions to avoid disappointment. In friendships where one person's emotions dictate the mood of the room. Even in families where a single expression can guide decisions without a word spoken. The mask of gentleness works because it plays to a man's deepest instinct, the need to protect. He confuses tenderness with truth, believing softness always means sincerity. Modern culture reinforces this illusion by celebrating sensitivity, but ignoring how it can be used. What appears as care often hides expectation. What looks like affection can quietly steer control. This does not make women cruel or men weak. It reveals how power has adapted to a world that rewards subtlety. The mask of gentleness is not a lie, but a survival tool. It teaches that control does not always shout. Sometimes it smiles. And in that smile, entire relationships are shaped without either person realizing who is leading. Every era has its form of currency, and today it is attention. The one who can attract it, control it, or withhold it holds power. In modern life, attention has become more valuable than truth. It fuels careers, relationships, and self-worth. For women, this is quietly turned into both opportunity and burden. The ability to draw eyes has become a measure of value, while invisibility feels like decline. You see it everywhere, from offices where charm moves faster than skill, to classrooms where appearance decides respect before words are spoken. It is not vanity that drives this behavior. It is survival in a system that rewards visibility. Men, without realizing it, participate in this economy every day. They pay with focus, with likes, with time, with energy. What was once admiration has become transaction. This trade shapes how people connect. Conversations turn into performances. Outfits become signals. Even silence becomes strategy. The modern man complains that women crave attention, yet he is the one who built the market for it. Every compliment, every view, every double take reinforces the idea that validation equals security. This cycle does not end with beauty. It extends to emotion. Women learn that care, drama, or mystery all draw attention in different ways, while men learn that giving it too freely means losing status. What emerges is a constant negotiation where everyone wants to be seen, but no one wants to seem needy. The economy of attention has replaced sincerity with performance. People do not ask who you are, but how visible you can make them feel. The cruel part is that the more attention one receives, the emptier it often feels. Because what is being admired is not the person, but the performance crafted to be noticed. Every relationship begins with balance, but it rarely stays that way. Over time, control enters quietly. It hides in decisions, in tone, in who apologizes first. One person begins to bend more, while the other learns that silence can win arguments. This shift does not happen through dominance or violence. It happens through attention and withdrawal. The one who needs more becomes careful, while the one who feels desired starts to test how much power they hold. This is not evil. It is human nature seeking safety through control. Modern relationships have turned this into an art. You can see it in how couples speak, in who texts first, in who plans, and who waits. The game is simple. The one who cares less sets the rhythm, and both sides pretend they do not notice. The struggle is not about love, but about emotional leverage. Each person wants to feel secure without feeling exposed. Men often believe they are leading, yet they are reacting to invisible pressure. A delayed reply, a change in tone, or a withheld compliment can shift their entire mood. Women, aware of this balance, learn to protect their power by staying unreadable. This exchange is constant, and it shapes every connection more than honesty ever does. In offices, friendships, and even marriages, people compete for emotional control while calling it compromise. The tragedy is that both sides lose. The one who controls cannot rest, and the one who chases cannot breathe. What was meant to be intimacy turns into strategy. Modern love no longer asks who gives more. It asks who can care less without losing the connection. In that quiet competition, the truth disappears, and both people end up fighting to win something that was never meant to be a game. People often say women feel more deeply, that they understand emotion better, that they love with more sincerity. This idea has been repeated so many times that most accept it as truth. Yet when you look closer, emotion is not wisdom. It is response. Modern life has blurred the line between feeling and awareness. Many men have been taught to suppress emotion, while many women have been taught to refine it into strategy. What looks like empathy is sometimes calculation shaped by experience. Women learn early that emotion can influence outcome, that vulnerability can shift attention faster than logic. This is not deception, it is adaptation. Society has rewarded emotional expression from women and punished it in men, creating a belief that sensitivity equals depth. But emotion alone does not reveal understanding. It reveals desire, fear, and survival. You can see this pattern in arguments where truth loses to tone. A man may speak facts, but if his delivery lacks softness, he becomes the villain. A woman may use emotion to steer the moment, not out of manipulation, but because emotion wins sympathy faster than reason. This imbalance repeats itself in homes, workplaces, and every social exchange where perception matters more than intention. The myth of emotional superiority keeps both sides trapped. Men stop expressing because they believe they cannot win. Women overexpress because it has always worked. What follows is confusion disguised as connection. The world praises emotional intelligence, but few understand that true intelligence is not about feeling everything. It is about recognizing which emotions are guiding the moment and why. When emotion becomes performance, it loses its purpose. What once was meant to connect now divides, leaving both sides convinced that they understand each other when they rarely do. Walk through any city today, and you can feel how much value is tied to appearance. It is in the way people walk, dress, and pose, even when no one is watching. It is not arrogance, it is defense. The modern world has turned presentation into protection. For women, this pressure is heavier because attention has become linked to worth. The mirror is no longer glass, it is comparison. From offices to dating, the unspoken rule is that visibility decides relevance. Women learn this early. Compliments shape their sense of identity before self-awareness can even form. By the time they reach adulthood, beauty becomes both power and burden. It offers access, but demands maintenance. What many call vanity is often survival in a system that values appearance before character. You can see this in everyday life, not just online, but everywhere people gather. A woman who enters a room well put together is treated differently than one who does not meet the standard. This constant evaluation creates quiet anxiety that never ends. Even self-confidence becomes performance, built on how well she can manage perception. The products, the routines, the endless search for flawlessness are not born from desire alone, but from fear of being unseen. Men contribute to this system by rewarding surface over substance, reinforcing the same cycle they later criticize. Vanity is not evil. It is adaptation to a culture obsessed with image. The tragedy is that it distances people from authenticity. The more one depends on being admired, the less one knows who they are without it. Modern society teaches women to polish their reflection, but never to question why they need it. And until that question is faced, the mirror will always have more power than the person standing in front of it. There comes a point when every person realizes that youth was not a phase, but a privilege. For women, this moment arrives sooner and cuts deeper because the world ties their value to how long they can remain desired. You can see it in the quiet panic that builds when compliments slow down, when attention fades, when being seen turns into being overlooked. This is not vanity, it is conditioning. Society teaches women that the end of youth is the end of significance. Every industry reinforces it, from entertainment to corporate spaces, where presence often matters more than experience. Even in daily life, aging women are treated as if they have stepped out of relevance. The world celebrates them only when they hide the proof of time. The cruel truth is not that women fear getting older, but that the world punishes them for it. Modern culture has disguised this punishment as empowerment. Anti-aging products are sold as self-care. Cosmetic procedures are framed as confidence. The message is clear: stay desirable or disappear. It is not only physical, but psychological. Many women attach their identity to how much attention they can still attract. When that attention fades, it feels like erasure. Men face aging too, but they are often rewarded for it. A man can grow older and be called wise or established. A woman grows older and is told to stay youthful. This imbalance is visible everywhere, from dating preferences to workplace promotions. It exposes how much society still measures a woman's worth through the lens of attraction. Yet the truth hidden beneath all of it is this: time does not steal value. Illusion does. And until women are taught that existence has meaning beyond admiration, the fear of aging will continue to control them. Every connection begins as reflection. People do not see each other as they are. They see what they want to confirm about themselves. A man looks at a woman and finds proof of his worth through her interest. A woman looks at a man and finds validation through his pursuit. It is not love at first sight, but recognition of ego. This is why so many relationships feel intense in the beginning and empty in the end. The excitement comes not from who the other person is, but from how they make you feel about yourself. Modern life has amplified this mirror effect. success, beauty, and attention have become ways to feed identity. The person we date becomes a social symbol, a reflection of status and desirability. What people call chemistry often has less to do with connection and more to do with the ego being seen. This pattern explains why so many chase partners who cannot give them peace. The mirror always flatters before it reveals. People stay in cycles of conflict because they are not protecting love. They are protecting self-image. You see it in relationships that turn into competitions, in couples who post perfection while living in silence, in marriages that survive appearances but lose meaning. The ego does not want truth. It wants confirmation. That is why vulnerability feels dangerous. To face another person honestly is to risk seeing the parts of yourself you would rather ignore. Modern society does not teach people how to reflect inward, only how to polish the reflection others see. Until that changes, love will remain a transaction of validation. The mirror will always decide who feels powerful and who feels small, and both will keep mistaking reflection for reality until they finally learn to see beyond it. Most people claim to want peace, but they are addicted to the thrill of emotional chaos. They say they are tired of drama, yet they keep returning to the same patterns that destroy them. It is not love that traps them, it is familiarity. The chaos feels like home because it mirrors the disorder inside. Modern relationships prove this every day. People mistake intensity for connection and tension for passion. They confuse uncertainty with depth, believing that if love feels calm, it must be boring. This is why stable partners often get overlooked, while unpredictable ones become irresistible. The cycle repeats, not because people enjoy pain, but because they have built their emotional identity around surviving it. They would rather feel anxious than feel nothing. The comfort of chaos is visible everywhere. You see it in people who chase after partners who constantly leave, in those who only feel alive when things are falling apart, in those who claim to want honesty, but panic when they finally receive it. Peace feels foreign when the mind is wired for conflict. In a world filled with instant distraction, people have forgotten how to sit with stillness. They seek stimulation to escape silence, and relationships become the easiest battlefield. Many confuse adrenaline with affection. They call it chemistry, but it is only anxiety wearing perfume. This is why calm love feels suspicious, why healthy affection feels distant, and why peace feels like emptiness. The truth is that chaos is not romantic, it is repetitive. People chase the same story with different faces until they realize peace does not mean boredom. It means freedom. And once a person learns to find comfort in calm, they will stop mistaking toxicity for passion and start recognizing chaos for what it truly is: emotional addiction disguised as love. In today's world, people believe abundance means freedom. The endless choices of modern life have convinced men that options equal power. From dating apps to workplace networks, there is always another person, another opportunity, another thrill waiting. But this illusion has created more confusion than control. The constant exposure to variety has made people indecisive, detached, and unsatisfied. The more options one has, the less any single one feels valuable. This is not empowerment. It is quiet emptiness, disguised as choice. Modern men swipe through faces, not realizing that the more they consume, the less they connect. What was meant to bring freedom has instead made people fearful of commitment. The idea of choosing feels like losing. Every decision feels like a limitation. This illusion extends beyond dating. It shapes how people view friendships, careers, and even identity. Men now chase what keeps their ego alive, not what gives their life meaning. They confuse attention for affection and novelty for significance. Many live in a constant state of comparison, unable to stay loyal to anything that demands patience or sacrifice. The culture of options has made consistency look old-fashioned. It rewards those who appear limitless, but forgets those who stay steady. Real growth does not come from exploring endless possibilities, but from mastering one. Yet the modern world keeps whispering that there is always something better, just out of reach. This is why so many men drift from one thing to another, never realizing that abundance without purpose becomes distraction. It is not a lack of choices that weakens men today. It is their inability to commit to one. The question now is simple. When everything seems available, do you still know what is truly worth choosing?